These are the exact same bikes, but this one has stock alloy wheels, and this one has aftermarket carbon fiber wheels that cost almost $5,000. We hear the buzzwords about carbon wheels all the time, like less unsprung weight, less rotating mass, better handling, more sex appeal. Okay, fine, I might have added that last one myself. Obviously, physics doesn't lie, so I believe them, but I have never had the chance to test alloy and carbon wheels back to back to see how obvious the difference really is.
Oh, and we're going to see how they're made at the BST factory to see why they have such a hefty price tag. Thank you to Rebelhorn for keeping me protected and sponsoring this video. This is Blackstone Tech, or BST, the biggest manufacturer of carbon fiber wheels in the world. You will have definitely heard of them if you've ever looked into carbon wheels, but what you probably didn't know is that they're a South African company, which means that I can just ride to their factory. So I did, but I got caught in the rain on the way there, so I showed up soaking wet. Not the best first impression. Luckily, my tour guide Ross was awesome, and as a fellow biker, he understood and immediately started showing me around. Right away, it's petrol head heaven with rare old Ducatis, 100% carbon Porsche wheels and off-road wheels, just in the entrance. And that's the first thing I learned. BST might be most famous for making carbon fiber motorcycle wheels, but they make way more carbon fiber things than just wheels. Like mountain bike frames for Pyga, all sorts of parts for the aerial Atom, and even the odd swing arm or tank for various manufacturers. And thanks to Triumph Centurion here in South Africa, I have this for the next 48 hours. A 2025 Speed Triple 1200 RS fitted with BST Rapid Tech wheels. And this is their demo bike. So if you're in the area and want to buy one, you can test ride this as well. And since I have my very own 2023 Speed Triple with stock wheels, we now have the best way to test BST wheels in the real world. Since there is nothing better than leather for sporty bikes, I'm going to wear this Rebelhorn Inferno jacket today. The quality is obvious just by its weight. There's also these stretchy infill panels, this lovely collar, there's lots of ventilation, and even comes with a detachable wind block vest for those chilly mornings. I've only ever ridden with carbon fiber wheels once before. I spent a day on a BMW M1000R in the Austrian Alps earlier this year, and although it was an incredibly easy and fun bike to ride, I honestly couldn't say that the wheels stood out to me. But then again, I was in a foreign country, riding on the opposite side of the road to what I'm used to, so I wasn't very focused on the wheels. Originally, I was tempted to take a wheel off of each of these bikes and weigh them to see what the difference actually is. But in reality, it's not going to be very scientific since they have different tires. This has a Metzler, that has a Pirelli. They will have worn differently, they'll have different wheel weights. So we're going to have to take BST's claims at face value. They claim that their wheels weigh 40 to 60% less than stock wheels, which is huge considering its unsprung weight. A better illustration is a test Ross had me try.
So hold that side like you would with a bike, and then move it to the side, and you can feel like it's quite loose. And now then grab that one.
So much easier. Okay, that's very obvious.
It's the easiest way to practically show someone
Yeah, I don't think it would be that extreme.
how extreme it is.
That immediately made it very apparent that just like it was easier for me to change the angle of the carbon wheel, a lighter wheel will be easier for your suspension to control, which will be better for your tires and should allow you to change the direction of the bike quicker. At a standstill, when just picking the bikes up off of the stand, they feel pretty much identical. Like maybe the one here with the BSTs is ever so slightly lighter, but it might also just be that the tires are newer and rounder, if that makes sense. Aesthetically, I'm not usually a huge fan of the way carbon fiber looks, which, yes, I know is sacrilege as a biker. And although I am a huge fan of the way that my bike's stock rear wheel looks, I have to admit that that BST Rapid Tech looks way more exotic and sexy.
Naturally, the wheel making process starts in a freezer. This is where they keep their rolls of raw material, and not because they ran out of storage space.
Carbon fiber is pre-preg, so that means that the resin's inside the carbon fiber already. So it's quite tacky to the touch when it's not been processed or gone through the autoclave. So if you keep this in your car or somewhere warm for a while, you'll get the idea of why it gets stored in such cold temperatures. It'll actually start to cure and go hard. So I'm going to give you this piece and you can keep it.
Now I just need a few more pieces and I can make my own wheel. The carbon fiber rolls then get cut into all the different pieces or plies that will be laid together to make up a wheel. And then those plies get organized into bags. It's crazy to think that one of these plastic bags contains a wheel. A worker then places each ply in a specific place and orientation on a mold to ensure the wheel has the right structural properties. Of course, that wouldn't be possible without a mold, which conveniently is also made in-house.
So Hendrik is the guy that is responsible for all the molds and stuff like that, and he has been doing so for BST for forever. Needless to say, an essential part of BST.
Every wheel is made this way by hand.
As you saw earlier, there was a gentleman that develops all the different plies and stuff like that and the shapes. The engineers also develop specific things for the wheels in terms of they'll try one configuration, test it, check if it passes. If it doesn't, they'll change the configuration, check if a different way of laying up the carbon fiber is better. Then from here, what happens is wheels get packed and bagged and they go onto the autoclave. Each wheel will be placed in vacuum and then there'll be about 6.5 bar of positive pressure and it's under vacuum. So what that does is it allows the resin to evenly distribute while it's heating up. So it's basically baking it in a pressure controlled environment and making sure there's no chance for air bubbles or anything like that to form.
While the wheels cook, let's talk about riding. I took both bikes to a familiar, fun road that I frequent so we could do a comparison in the real world. And as elegant as it looks in black, I prefer the yellow, but I am very biased.
If you know your Triumphs, you'll know that these two bikes look pretty much identical, but they are actually a little bit different. I say a little bit different because I own the older 2023 model, so I want it to be as good as the updated 2025 model. But in reality, these do have a little bit more horsepower. They do have much more sophisticated electronics. They came standard with a different shaped rear wheel. There's this new funny looking exhaust, but frame-wise, they're exactly the same, so they should handle exactly the same. The only thing that will make a difference to handling is that the new one comes with electronic Öhlins suspension, where mine still has the manually adjustable Öhlins suspension, and this was criticized for being too harsh.
First, I took my bike out and back, the bike I'm used to, on a road that I've completed on a lot of different bikes, and it was as fun as I expected. Very bumpy, but that's just the problem with this road, which arguably makes for a better test and potentially a side effect of my manual Öhlins. The bike felt easy to ride, predictable in the corners, and I wouldn't have said it could get much better. Although halfway, I did have an Insta360 incident, which means we're now down to just 2 cameras.
Now, Rebelhorn also make Inferno leather pants that can connect to the jacket. But to be honest, I felt like being in full leathers on the street might encourage me to misbehave a bit too much. The jacket is made from premium cowhide leather and has the best possible safety rating with elbow, shoulder and back armor. There's also a pocket for a chest protector, reinforced elbows and shoulder sliders that Marc Marquez said even he can't get down.
Plus a waterproof pocket for your key fob.
They come in a variety of different colors, so I will link them down below in case you want more information or if you just want to check out all of Rebelhorn's innovative gear.
Then it was time for the Speed Triple clad in BSTs. I did the exact same route, although this time I didn't get so lucky with the traffic. But I swear they'd gotten rid of some of the bumps in the road. It's kind of weird riding a carbon copy of my bike, but with the saturation turned down. And the biggest difference between the two bikes was the last thing I expected to be a factor. Meanwhile, hot out the autoclave, the wheels head to demolding, which is exactly how it sounds.
That is a fresh, raw carbon fiber wheel. Super sharp and can give you a carbon fiber splinter, which is not great.
But it's the most expensive splinter you can get.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
Next, the wheels go through this cool machine that sands off all the rough edges so that it's ready for machining, where the lip profiles get cut and holes get drilled for the hubs. From there, it's onto assembly.
But essentially a wheel will come out like this. That's actually pretty cool. So this is a full carbon cush side, so the cush rubbers will go in here. This wheel still needs its center spaces and stuff like that. So obviously this is your brake face side. The secondary adapter will go on here. That'll obviously hold your brake disc and stuff like that. The side is for your cush and your sprockets. I want to show you what's in that room, but you can't film it, that's the one thing.
I don't mean to brag, but it was amazing in there. Okay, fine, I do mean to brag, but it was the big secret behind BST's success, the secret to the perfect carbon wheel. And no, it wasn't just Valentino Rossi blessing each and every wheel. That was in the next room. There's also a room for durability testing, including an X-ray machine to catch any internal defects or things the human eye would miss. The last two steps before painting are sanding, leaving the wheel with a temporary matte finish.
And this is probably the ugliest the wheel looks to me. This matte, dull.
I like the matte look.
And then masking, followed by paint, which I bet is pretty tricky with these fancy wheel designs. What surprised me is how messy the factory is. I don't know why, but I kind of expected a science lab where you could eat off the floor. But in reality, a functional factory is messy, and carbon fiber is a messy material to work with. After polishing, the wheels are gone over with a fine-tooth comb to look for any imperfections. And this step seems to be done by a woman, which I thought was kind of funny because I think most men would just get distracted by carbon fiber and think that everything is already perfect.
She'll go and check every wheel for imperfections and they'll be highlighted. So
She circled them for me and I still can't see them. That's perfect to me. Oh, actually, I could feel that one.
yeah, so that has to be dealt with before the wheels get sent anywhere.
That's a lot of imperfections. The average person wouldn't even notice.
And lastly, they get boxed up nicely and sent to an appreciative buyer. And the difference out on the road is immediately noticeable, but it's a more interesting difference than I expected. It's not like the bike is now ridiculously light and nimble. It doesn't feel like a brand new bike. It still handles like the bike that you're used to, like the bike that you're familiar with, but it now just takes less effort to corner how you want to. The immediate tip-in takes less muscle power. It feels like you need less leverage to countersteer the bike into a lean. And then at lean, it feels like you can make minor changes far more accurately. I can't stress enough that it just takes less effort. If you did a track day on each of these bikes, I promise you would be less tired at the end of the day if you rode the one with the carbon BST wheels. And that is not what I expected. I expected it to feel like a brand new bike, but it doesn't. It feels like the bike that you're used to, it's just now a lot more refined. The bike with BST wheels also handled the bumpy road twice as well, which meant I could go faster without the bike getting pushed around. And although that was probably mostly due to suspension, I do think the wheels definitely played a part. Here's a question for you. In recent years, full system exhausts have also gotten ridiculously expensive. So should you keep saving and buy carbon fiber wheels for your bike instead of getting an exhaust first? Make your bike handle better instead of sound better? Well, I essentially got to test this as well, because my Speed Triple with the stock wheels at least has a link pipe, so it sounds way better than stock. The black one here, however, with the fancy BST wheels, has a stock exhaust. The black Speed Triple was a far more fun handling experience and easier to ride without a doubt. But the truth is that once the wheels are gone, you forget about them pretty quickly. Whereas a loud exhaust reminds you of its presence every time you start your bike up.
But anyway, let me know if you would take carbon wheels over an exhaust. Thank you so much to BST and Triumph Centurion and even Triumph Johannesburg for making this video possible. Don't forget to check out Rebelhorn gear and I'll see you on the next ride.